The rain had been falling for hours, heavy and relentless, turning the highway into a long, shimmering ribbon of gray sorrow, when a tired truck driver noticed something that made his hands tighten on the steering wheel. On the narrow shoulder of the road, barely visible through the curtain of rain, a man, a woman, and two small children were walking with their heads bowed, clothes soaked, shoes slipping in the mud. In that moment, as thunder rolled overhead and headlights blurred into streaks of light, a single decision formed in his heart, one that would quietly, painfully, and beautifully change all of their lives forever. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of one good decision, please take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach the hearts that need them most. The truck driver's name was Daniel Harris, and life had never been gentle with him. At 42, his face carried the lines of years spent squinting into sunrises over endless highways and fighting sleep through lonely nights. His hands were rough, scarred from work and loss, and his heart felt heavier than the loaded trailer he hauled across states. Daniel was a single father, raising his 9-year-old daughter alone after fate had torn his family apart in a way he never fully recovered from. Driving trucks was not a dream, it was survival. Every mile paid the bills, kept the lights on, and put food on the table, but it also took him away from the one person who gave his life meaning. That night, Daniel was already running behind schedule. His dispatcher had warned him that delays could cost him future contracts, and his mind kept drifting to the small apartment where his daughter waited with her homework half finished and dinner growing cold. He was exhausted, irritated by the rain, and anxious about the ticking clock. Normally, he would have driven past anything that slowed him down. Normally, he would have told himself that he had his own problems and that the world was full of people needing help. But something about that family and the rain broke through the wall he had built around his heart. The man walking ahead looked thin and worn down, shoulders hunched not just from the rain but from years of quiet defeat. The woman held a small child against her chest, trying to shield the little one with the torn jacket, while the other child trudged beside her, face pale and frightened. There was no car in sight, no shelter nearby, just miles of road and darkness closing in. Daniel felt a familiar ache rise in his chest, the same ache he had felt years ago when he stood helpless in a hospital hallway, realizing that life could change forever without warning. He slowed the truck, his mind arguing with his heart. Stopping meant delays, paperwork, maybe even trouble if something went wrong. But driving past meant carrying the image of those children with him long after the road disappeared behind him. He thought of his daughter, of how small and vulnerable she looked when she slept, and the decision no longer felt like a choice. It felt like a responsibility. Daniel pulled over, hazard lights flashing through the rain like a silent promise. The family froze at first, fear flashing across their faces, but desperation outweighed caution. Daniel stepped down from the cab, rain soaking his jacket instantly, and waved them toward the truck. There were no heroic words, no dramatic gestures, just a simple offer of shelter from the storm and a chance to catch their breath. Inside the cab, it was cramped but warm, smelling faintly of coffee and diesel, and for the first time in hours, the children stopped shivering. As the truck eased back onto the highway, Daniel learned pieces of their story and fragments of expression and tired explanation. They were a family who had lost everything in a matter of weeks. The father had worked at a factory that shut down without warning. Savings disappeared fast, rent went unpaid, and eviction followed. Their car broke down on the way to stay with a distant relative, and when the towing company demanded money they did not have, they were left on the side of the road with their bags and their fear. Pride had kept them from asking for help, and hope was wearing dangerously thin. Daniel listened, his eyes fixed on the road but his heart fully engaged. Their struggle mirrored his own in ways that felt almost too familiar. He remembered the days after his wife's passing, when grief hollowed him out and bills piled up like accusations. He remembered choosing between groceries and gas, between being present for his daughter and working overtime to survive. Pain recognized pain, and in that recognition, compassion grew. The rain continued to fall as Daniel drove them to the nearest town, but something inside him had shifted. The weight on his chest felt different, less suffocating, as if helping someone else had cracked open a window in a room he had sealed shut for years. He dropped them at a small roadside motel, paid for a room without hesitation, and left them with enough money for food and a phone call. He told himself it was just a temporary kindness, a one-time thing, but his heart knew better. Over the following days, Daniel could not stop thinking about that family. Every mile he drove felt longer, every stop quieter. When he returned home, his daughter noticed the change immediately. She saw it in the way he hugged her a little tighter, in the way his eyes softened when he listened to her talk about school. Without fully understanding why, she felt that her father had found something he had been missing. Daniel reached out again, checking on the family, helping them connect with local aid services, and using his own limited network to find leads for work. He was not wealthy, not powerful, but he was persistent. He drove extra routes, took on late-night hauls, and skipped comforts he barely allowed himself anyway. Each small sacrifice felt purposeful, meaningful, as if the road he had traveled alone for so long was finally leading somewhere new. Weeks turned into months, and the family slowly began to rebuild. The father found steady work, the children enrolled in school, and the mother took on part-time jobs while planning for the future. They never forgot the night and the rain, the truck driver who stopped when he did not have to. And Daniel never forgot the way their fear softened into relief when they realized someone saw them, someone cared. Life did not suddenly become perfect for Daniel. Bills still came, loneliness still crept in during long drives, and grief never fully disappeared. But something essential had changed. He no longer felt invisible in his own struggle. Helping that family had reminded him that even in pain, he had something to give. His daughter, watching her father live with quiet generosity, learned lessons no classroom could teach. Kindness became a language spoken in their small apartment, in shared meals, in understanding glances. Years later, on another rainy evening, Daniel received a message that brought tears to his eyes. The family he had helped was thriving. They had a home, stability, and dreams that no longer felt impossible. The children were growing fast, full of laughter and plans, and they spoke often about the man who had changed their lives by stopping his truck in the rain. Daniel sat alone in his cab, engine humming beneath him, and allowed himself to feel proud, not of what he had given, but of what he had chosen to do when it mattered. Just before the ending, please pause for a moment and comment below what this story made you feel, or share a time when one small act of kindness changed your life or someone else's. As Daniel drove on, the highway stretched ahead, endless and uncertain, but no longer empty. He understood now that life was not measured only by miles traveled or money earned, but by moments of courage when compassion outweighed fear. Somewhere out there, families walk through storms every day, unseen and unheard, waiting for a light to flash in the darkness. Daniel had been that light once, and it had illuminated his own path in return. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that one decision can change everything, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement keeps these stories alive, spreading kindness one viewer at a time. And as the rain falls somewhere at night, may we all remember that stopping, even when it is hard, can save more than just others up. It can save ourselves.